Hi, guys. Welcome to Better Than Sex, our weekly podcast with Workin The Tease. I am Julia Reed Nichols.
Hi, I'm Kitty Cat DeMille, and we have a special guest today who is
Megan Caldwell.
Nice! Hi! Well, we're very excited to have you. You were our first guest in probably 3 years, considering we restarted the podcast last week. So it's exciting. Megan, do you want to tell us a little bit about your origin story when it comes to the world of sexiness? Like, I know you have a background as a dancer, cruise ships, Las Vegas Strip, all of it.
Yes. Let's see where to start. I definitely had started dance at 5 years old and was introduced to just like moving my body. And I was like, I really like this. This feels good.
And did you start with ballet?
Only ballet first.
Okay. So very regimented to start off.
I really love ballet. It was just the first thing I did. So we did ballet, then we added tap, and I did just tap and ballet. And then I just added everything, and then I did everything, and I still do all of it.
Nice.
I love anything, and if I don't know how to do it, I love to learn how to do it.
Now, you have worked professionally as a dancer.
Yes. So my very first professional dance job was after college.
Did you study dance in college? Was that your major?
No, I studied advertising.
Which is, sexiness is a form of advertising at the end of the day.
Yeah, you got to learn how to sell yourself. So I went there to learn how to just sell myself in, whatever terms you want to put in your own mind. And then I just didn't want to advertise. I was like, that's boring. I'd still rather dance. I danced on the dance team in college, so I never stopped dancing.
I was on the dance team in college too.
I love a dance team. It's just like a bunch of people just trying to make it work.
I did the basketball games. So I did the halftime shows at the basketball games, which was not as cool as like being a cheerleader, but like I had a blast on it because it's probably the most people I've ever performed in front of. Because it's 8,000 people.
That was my biggest stage that I probably, well, I'll knock on wood, but sorry, my dogs, sorry. Anyway, they think someone's here. But I danced in front of 110,000 people, like at Penn State University. Like that's one of the biggest football stadiums in the country, like the world. I think it's the third largest, actually.
Yeah, it's very big. It's very
large, and I was like, I love it.
A football stadium of 40,000, so you are way up there compared to me.
Even that is a lot. Like 40,000 people. You're like, I'm dancing in front of 40,000 people. Like they might see me. I don't know. We're here for football, but like, what are those girls doing? They're like tiny little ants, just like moving in sync,
Were you like super excited every time you made it onto the TV? Like it was like, oh my God.
I mean, no, I didn't like care when the camera would pass because I was just naturally like that psyched that like whatever they got, that's me,
You guys had the pom-poms?
Oh yes, we had silver pom-poms.
We had gold.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We did a little flash, like a little look at me,
Yeah.
But we would put the pom-poms down when we actually like danced.
Yes.
We had a field dance, we called it.
Yes, we did that. We had like the sideline dance, which involved the pom-poms, and then we had like the halftime number. We did a Christmas one, which like we look adorable.
I love Christmas.
Like Santa Claus is coming to town, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing. I felt like I was in the Rockettes. It was like it was my Rockette moment.
Speaking of the Rockettes, yes. Oh man, they're amazing. I've auditioned for them many moons and times.
You are not alone. We know, Julia and I know multiple other people who have many moons.
Yes, many moons, many times. And they're like, what's your Rockette story? They're like, girl, I got it the first time. They're like, I'm 18. And we're like, good for you. But then other girls are like, I auditioned for this show 12 times before they let me in. And now look at me. I've done 1 year and I might want to quit. And then other girls stay there for like 10 years. It's just like the most precise dancing like you could ever imagine.
So precision based.
So precision is like, this is how we raise our arm and like we're like birds but like dancing in like fast motion, and
it's like the opposite of go-go.
The opposite. Like if you like to just be free and like just like feel the vibes, like do not try out for the Rockettes, girl. You'll be miserable. Even if you're good at it, you might still be miserable. Like your body's gonna be like, ow, like it hurts.
But I feel like if you have had any kind of a tap background, it has become like the dream, you know, where
I love
like,
tap.
Yeah.
Like it was my dream. It really was my dream for like a little bit, but then I found showgirling in Las Vegas and I was like, this is almost it actually, except I don't have to be like as precise as the Rockettes, and I get to wear fancier costumes with like
so much more sparkles than the Rockettes.
So much more sparkles. And I was like, all right, you guys can just go do your thing in New York. I'll be here in Las Vegas just prancing around.
Okay, so you were doing advertising and you got a dance job, and when you went to cruise ships, is that right?
Yeah, my first dance job was cruise ships.
Okay.
And that's where I met my husband. Like literally, girl, third weekend, I was just like, that one.
So Julia and I have this theory that they only hire beautiful single dancers so that they can like pretty much marry them off to all the officers. Because like that seems to be the case. Is like they're like, this is the way we're gonna keep you on the cruise ship.
I mean, you got to do something, and falling in love on cruise ships is just like something to do. Like,
was it like you and him at a pina colada at like the crew bar kind of deal, or was it like,
yeah, you got me.
Yeah,
it was kind of like, hey boy, and he's like, sup girl, but like in a Scottish accent. I was like, ooh,
yeah.
Ooh. I was like, keep talking dirty to me, like what, and like. We're both just trying to understand each other because he's like, I'm from Scotland, Glasgow. And I'm like, Glasgow. And I'm like, I'm from Hanover, Pennsylvania. And we're just like, whoa, man, we're on a ship just bobbing around. And we're like, yeah, it's like if the world had a giant orgy, like Pangea. It's like if the world were Pangea again and we're all just like bobbing on the ocean, we're like, whoa, we could just like really mix things up here. It's like, there's so many different cultures. There's lots of things happening.
It's kind of like a have you worked a restaurant? Have you like waited tables?
Yeah.
Okay, you know how like,
I think everyone should do once in their life or twice.
Absolutely. It makes you, I feel so empathetic to like
Yeah.
any service industry.
Yeah. You need empathy to feel things.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes. But you know how like when you work at a restaurant, everybody starts dating each other eventually because you spend so much time with each other at the restaurant?
Yes. I've definitely like made out with a boy I've worked at a restaurant with. Like nothing more. Like we were just kind of like friends, but like friends that would drink together.
Yeah.
And like friends that drink together sometimes kiss each other. And you're like, that was weird. Like I've even made out with like my gay best friends. I was like, God, that was so weird. I was so drunk last night. We just like made out.
Oh my God. And there were sparkles and glitter.
Yeah, and we had glitter bombs like just going off around us. Like, what's that gay guy doing, kissing that straight girl? And they're like, I don't know, but they look good doing it. Whatever, we'll just let them.
Have you watched Schitt's Creek yet?
Well, I dabbled.
Yeah, and I've been dabbling in it too. I'm very much enjoying the Dan Levy character.
Yeah, the dialogue is funny.
Yes,
it is. It is funny, and I enjoy those actresses and actors. So I do enjoy it. Like if I just need a funny, like little pithy, like I don't have to pay that much attention.
Yeah,
like kind of sitcom. It's a sitcom, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like I'm not huge into sitcoms, but like I'll give them a chance. And then once it's shoved down my throat long enough, like Friends, everyone's like, Megan, just watch it. I was like, okay. And then I'll watch it and watch it and watch it. And I'll be like, yeah, you're right. They're just like having friends in the living room. So it's actually a great quarantine show. Like if you just need to talk with people.
I
Just talk with them.
I've gotten very into the Vampire Diaries, which I've talked about on this podcast. And,
I love vampires.
There are 8 seasons of it. 8 seasons of it, and it's on network TV, which means it's 22 episodes, times 45 minutes, which means there's so much.
So much.
And it's literally like a beautiful person talking, and then the next scene they're taking off their clothes.
That's all like True Blood too. True Blood
and it's great. It's like it's like every other scene they're taking off their top. You know, I mean, it's CW, so it's not like you're seeing boobs like True Blood, but you're seeing like girls in bras, like guys. Guys are
it's like almost a more of a tease because they're showing you everything that's not. They're cropping out the good stuff, like the really good stuff.
Well, I personally believe that women look better naked, men look better half dressed, which is like, overall, like a guy without his shirt on is great. And it's not that I don't enjoy the pants off in my own privacy, but like in regards to like looking at it, I'm like, nope, with the pants on, it's better. It's just better.
Yeah.
I totally just watched Bridesmaids.
I love Bridesmaids.
I love Bridesmaids so much. Oh my God.
I love it so much. Sometimes I'm just, when I dance in the park, I'm just like, just dancing in the park. Like, don't mind me. They're like, are you even in this class? I'm like, what class? They're like, I'm like, I'm just.
And Terry Crews plays that character, which I love because I love Terry Crews.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are not dancing. You are not dancing.
Okay. Anyway. So you were on a cruise ship. You met your husband. It was Petri dish. How long did you dance and date or dance and marry while on the cruise ship?
Yes. Okay. So we dated on the cruise ship for 2 years. We did 2 full contracts together, which for a dancer, your contracts are usually like, well, you know,
right?
They like to extend them. So they always say, oh, minimum 8 months. They go minimum 8 months. And I'm like, minimum 8 months? Cool. I'll be like an employed dancer for 8 months. That sounds fantastic.
Right.
They're like, yeah, minimum. And then they're like, well, you know, but you add on. So like rehearsals like a month. And then sometimes they just extend you out of the blue. And you're like, I'll keep working for you.
Right.
Like, unless you have somewhere to like run off to, like Broadway calls, you're like, sure. Because it's hard to keep employment as a dancer very often. Like the contracts are often like, you know, oh, your contract's for a year, your contract's 3 months, you're always going from one contract to the next.
And it's really nice when they're like more than a day, because a lot of times you're a gigger and it's like, okay,
one day contracts.
1 day contracts. So were you on a big cruise ship or were you on a little one? Like how many dancers were on the ship and where did you go?
There was only 2 dancers on the ship, so we really had the lay of the land, if you know what I mean.
So you were on a little cruise ship then?
It was definitely on the small side, especially for cruise ships these days, because cruise ships these days are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes, I've been on a couple of them with my family in the last couple of years that are just like huge. Like we went on one a couple of years ago, Norwegian Cruise Line, and it had like 6 water slides on it.
Yeah, which sounds awesome. Like if I was actually going to be a passenger, here, I'll give a small little review. Like I worked for Holland America Line.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Very awesome to work for. I loved working for them. I think the reason I loved working for them is their like brand that they're kind of aiming towards is more for retired people.
It's classier.
It's classy it's real classy on the holiday.
Real classy.
I am a classy lady, and I was like, these are my people. They're all way older than me, but
they're not the Carnival Cruise Line.
I felt like I was literally on the Titanic sometimes. Like I was just like, oh, like we just get dressed for dinner and listen to this jazz band or like.
Did you wear like beaded outfits? Were you like in full Vegas Showgirl kind of outfits?
Yes, I took my old prom dresses. All the dresses I bought in high school that like you'll never wear again, I wore them again. And I was like, this is amazing.
You're like, this is amazing.
I was like, this is a full beaded gown, you guys. Like I wore this in a pageant.
Yeah.
You look really nice too, lady. I like your hat. Like, it's just so classy. And they go to bed earlier, which means the crew
gets to party afterwards. That's true. That is true.
If you work on a party ship, which we can talk about that later because I've done that as well. And it actually was the best, actually. But it was for a shorter period of time. It was only like 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think I would have survived if I had to do that for like 8 months.
Julie and I have a friend, Natalie, who dances with Pinups on Tour, and she has become a magician's assistant. And
one of those, yes.
And she has a tendency to do the repositioning. So it's not like she's like does a big contract. She has like a 2-week contract when they move the boat. And she's like, it's the greatest because like all they're doing is the extra entertainment. They don't have to like, interact with the crew.
Right.
It's just like, go on a cruise.
Vacation. It's like a real vacation for them that they also do like maybe 2 shows.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Like sometimes a lot of the guest entertainers, I always was like, that would be the best job because like if you need some partying, you can make friends with the crew members. Like they'll definitely welcome you into the gang. Like, oh, look, the guest entertainer. Like everyone kind of knows who you are anyway because they know who the guest entertainers are. And so if you want to hang out with crew, cool. Like if you want to just like hang out with your wife, which a lot of guest entertainers just like marry their wives and girlfriends.
Yeah.
Cool. Like you're like a passenger that works there. So you have access to everything and like good rooms. It's
like, I always feel like so like in the world of magic, which there's a lot of crossover between burlesque and magic. It's like 80% of the people learn magic to impress girls they're never going to get.
Yes.
And 20% of them become like magic rock stars and then end up marrying the super hot magician's assistant. And then like, they're like, what up? Like, this is me and my wife and we travel on the world and I do magic.
What a explosion.
Exactly.
And the funny thing is, girl, we all know the girls are the ones doing all the work. Like literally the magicians are like,
yeah.
And the girls are like,
boom. And the girls like on the other side, like in a teeny tiny box.
How did he fit all of me in this tiny little box? We won't reveal too many secrets because like we gotta keep it tight,
Yeah. Okay. So you were working on Holland America, and then you at one point tell us about the party ship a little bit.
Oh, so that was after Jubilee had closed.
Okay. So let's go to let's get to Jubilee. So you did Holland America.
Yes, did Holland America 2 years. And then did like a little show in Ohio. And this whole time, like Gary is just kind of like, it's really the best because
your husband, because he's still on the boat.
Yeah, like at this point, we're still just dating.
Mm-hmm.
But he can follow me like wherever I need to get work, which as a dancer, like you got to get a little willing to travel. Because I'm from the East Coast. Like I would do all my auditioning in New York for everything. Like I would literally bus on the freaking mega bus, couch surf, because thank God I had so many friends that are struggling there as well. Like just like trying to get by. Like, can I bum a couch? They're like, sure, come on in.
But I will say, as someone who I did a lot of couch surfing last year.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it because you get to really experience your friends.
I know.
Yeah, it's like you get to see little like tidbits of their life that you never would if you were like.
It's like now I can really picture you at home because I've like sort of been there for like a small period of time. Like I know it's probably not exactly what you do because obviously like I'm here kind of like stirring the pot, but I couch surfed with one of my best friends and her husband recently. Mm-hmm. And the biggest compliment, like I'm weird and like is my best friend. So it's like my best friend from college. Like she's seen some Can we curse on this show?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Okay. So anyway, she's seen me at my best, my worst, my middle, my ups, my downs.
Right.
all the arounds. And she still loves me. So, anyway, her husband, I stayed with them during a very tumultuous period in my life. So I would just kind of like drink wine a lot on their couch, because then every weekend I would have to go do this show that was just like really bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were just so sweet and nice to me that I would just like meticulously clean their kitchen for them. They both work so hard.
I've done that for multiple friends I've stayed with.
Yeah, and literally Dan didn't tell me this, but Dan told Kathleen this. Dan is her husband. He was like, I feel like we have a magic sink. And Kathleen's like, yeah, Dan, like Megan does our dishes. He's like, is it like a magic sink? It literally like all of a sudden they're like clean practically like after I put them in there. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're welcome. Thank you. Because that was my gift.
You're like, you're Tinkerbell. You come and like spread pixie dust in terms of doing dishes.
And now I'm finally like pixie dusting my own house. And I'm like, oh my God. Wait. Yes. And I'm just like, oh my God, the walls, they're so blank. Like they're too blank. They're beautiful. I love the color, but like, I need more. Like, and I'm just creating. I'm like painting a picture. It's fun.
There are a lot of people like that during the quarantine. Like, I mean, I'm just about to redo part of my bathroom at my house, my dad's house. But like my entire block here is like been beautified, where people have just like been putting in flowers and doing this and that. Just so much prettier than it was 2 months ago.
We're being forced to like really examine our own home and garden, whatever that might mean, like for you.
Right.
And all of a sudden, things that never really bothered you before, all of a sudden you're like, that fucking wall. Like, I just want to fix. That's really, I can't even look at, like, what do we do? Like, okay. Like, this is working, but like, it could be better. You're like, yeah. Like, and everyone says, like, I'm just buying a bunch of shit on Amazon. I'm like, me too, girl. Like, I mull it over for a while. I'm like, I could almost get this for free. And I'm finding things in my house that I've gotten for free.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, Linda.
It's also interesting in terms of like, Julie and I have been joking that time doesn't exist because we're in this like area, like nobody knows. So it's like, okay, well, time doesn't exist.
Obviously. Well, like, obviously.
But like when you buy something on Amazon, because my dad's birthday was last weekend, so we all bought him gifts. And none of them have arrived because everything's been delayed because of like the it's non-essential. So it's almost like there's a part of me that it feels like when I was a kid and I would write like Santa's list the day after Thanksgiving, and then I would wait to see if things would show up because there's more expectation now. It's not like I order it and it shows up right away on Amazon. It's like, oh, when is it going to come? Let me do this. Like,
I've been feeling so young lately.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, shit, man. Now I'm 5, and I'm like, now I'm in college. Uh-oh, watch out.
But I mean, isn't that the fun? You know,
like fun. It's the fun of it. Like, I don't want to like brag. Like, I don't want to shout it from my like rooftop, but I'm like, I'm having a lot of fun over here in this empty house. And then I find myself talking to my neighbors. I like pop my head up or down. I'm like, what you guys doing?
You're like the guy from Home Improvement.
Yeah.
That used to like go like that.
I'm like, hey guys, what are you guys doing? And they're like, we're playing. And like, one neighbor's like, we're playing golf, Megan. And I'm like, why did you fucking invite me? I'll watch you though. I'll watch you. It's cool. I'll stay right here.
I
like talk to them while they're like hanging out in the backyard. I'm like, yeah, just hanging out in the backyard. And then I talked to the other lady, Joanne, and she's growing me tomatoes. Bless her heart. Bless her heart. I'm like, you're gonna give me these fine tomatoes that you're just growing out of the ground? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I can't wait to eat that tomato.
Nice. Okay. So how'd you get to Jubilee?
Jubilee. Yes. The best. I mean, and best, I say that loosely, but, I'm obviously going to be biased about anything related to that.
By the way, I think you should explain what Jubilee is because there are probably people who are watching this that do not understand what it is.
Oh, okay. So
What?
Jubilee was the last remaining showgirl show. And when I say showgirl show, I mean of the French tradition, because it kind of started in France and still exists. Thank God. Thank God. But Jubilee was really the last remaining showgirl show of that kind in the world, but definitely in North America. You can't even recreate it today because you would never be able to afford the costumes.
Right, because it was typically very long, leggy girls.
Yeah.
A lot of times topless.
A lot of them topless.
Yes.
A small handful not. And you almost couldn't tell which was which because we just put shit ton of rhinestones like right here.
It was kind of like it was like Ziegfeld Follies.
Yes.
In the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yes, exactly. Like if you want to like get a little history of kind of the deal, like that's why I love Barbra Streisand Funny Girl. Because that era of like showgirl, that's what it was, but we were just more naked because it was the French style, and also this is Sin City, baby. So like,
right,
show some skin, but just cover it up with feathers and shit.
Okay, so how did you get to Jubilee? Now that we know what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, after the ships, did 2 contracts, did a couple other things in between there, like not really worth mentioning.
There we go. Julia's put up.
Oh yes,
yeah,
that's it, girl. This is called the final like walk down, and we called it the jewel box because all these girls were topless, and it was all the colors of like a jewel box. So you have like the blues or like the sapphires, you have the emeralds.
I mean, just like looking at the headpieces alone, like they're insane.
Yeah, it was amazing. It really was just like that stage is the biggest stage I think still in the world. Like I'd have to double check that, but it's half a football field long. A football field. Like people can put that into perspective because this country loves football, and they're like, that stage was half of that field, and right. I'm like,
what was the audience capacity on it?
Oh.
Like, was it like a 3,000 person theater? Was it like a 10,000 person theater?
No, it wasn't huge. And it did it have a balcony? Shit, I can't remember. I mean, the theater still exists. Like, you can go to the Jubilee Theater. It's still called the Jubilee Theater.
It's in Bally's, right?
It's at Bally's.
Yes.
Does it have a balcony?
Which is an older casino for those who are
older. Yes, right in the center of Las Vegas Boulevard, practically across from the fountains.
Right, but it's not the MGM Cirque du Soleil kind of like casino. No, it's an old school 70s.
It's one of our classics from the 70s. Oh, can you still see me? My computer just went asleep.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Let me just type in my code. Oh, okay.
So how did you get to Jubilee?
Right. So I auditioned in New York. I tend to like. I don't audition for everything.
Have you done a showgirl role before too?
The job on the cruise ship we were technically called like showgirl dancers.
Okay.
And I had met a girl from Vegas. That's one of my best friends now, actually, that lives here with me because we have the same story. Like, it's bizarre. Anyway, because she had already done Jubilee, had already been to Vegas. And she's like, oh, yeah, you should go to Vegas. And I was like, yeah, it sounds great. It sounds like where they hire tall dancers. Like, hello, I'm 5'10". Like, I'm 5'10". Like, I can't do that Cirque du Soleil stuff. I can't. Sometimes I can't fit in a magician's box because it really is.
But you have the best extensions because I'm 5'2.5". Julia, I think, is 5'8". And like we ended up getting into a burlesque troupe where the director was short. So that's how we ended up being short.
Yeah.
No reason.
They can build you a big enough box to fit in. Trust me.
Yeah.
But like they just tend to hire like small little people.
Yes. So, okay. So big, tall showgirls, you auditioned in New York.
Yeah. Auditioned in New York. It was actually, I think it was the last time that Jubilee auditioned in New York. They used to travel more to audition.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I had auditioned for it in Vegas first, actually. I auditioned here first. I didn't get it the first time. I made it like all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like on vacation here. Like I literally stayed in Vegas one time for 2 weeks on vacation. It was wild. So all those people that are like, I can't handle Vegas, it's like 3 days. And I'm just like, dude, well, I did it for 2 weeks. So just toughen up. Like,
and that's where you live there, which is a different experience of Vegas.
Yes. We literally lived in the hotel behind the Bellagio, the Vidara.
Oh, you lived in the Vidara, or you lived in the hotel behind the Vidara?
No, we lived in the Vidara for two weeks.
I love the Vidara.
It's gorgeous. Hashtag love you, Vidara.
Yeah.
Like, if people need a place that's like really clean, fresh, right in the middle of the strip, but like you don't want to be in a casino.
Right next to the Aria, right next to the Cosmo.
Yeah, it's attached to the Bellagio. You can just walk. It's really, it was a great place to stay for a longer period of time. Like when we really needed to just like, phew, like last night, man, let's just like cook our own eggs today. Like it had like a little hot.
Right. Yeah. It's like a good condo place. It's absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So you auditioned in New York. You got the gig.
And then it's like, okay.
Were you married at this point or no?
No, still weren't married.
Okay. So you come out.
Not even engaged. I think we dated for like 5. It's hard to count, but like 5-ish years.
Okay, so you did 2 contracts on the boat where you were like face to face all the time, and then you did like kind of 2 to 3 years where you were more
just girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
But we like kind of still always lived together. Like every time he wasn't at sea, he was with me.
It's kind of like dating a guy from the military.
Yeah, exactly like that. Exactly like that. Like it's like hard dating. Yeah. It's like that kind of.
Yeah.
You definitely get a chance to miss each other.
And you don't get bored because like they have a bunch of stories, like
yeah. And now the communication, like I don't need to like actually say, "Hey, Pigeon, come here." Like I have a message for Gary. Can you find him in the middle of the ocean? Like we can talk like this. Like we can talk on the phone basically. But we use the internet.
Yeah.
Like video is a challenge. Like we don't really video.
Because you're in the middle of there's no towers or anything.
Yeah. The signal is weak.
Right.
Where he is.
Mainly audio for that reason. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we mostly just do like audio, and then a lot of times we just chat. Like full on like the AOL days.
Oh, I really do love the intimacy of like hardcore texting a boy or like where you're like, is this funny? Is this what I'm gonna say? Is this?
You can like think about it, and they're like, I see your ... dotting, and I'm like, shut up! I didn't want to say that.
Yeah,
like, it kind of keeps each other guessing because like they can't know your inflection, but they know you so well,
right? And you use
emoji it a lot, and you're just like, whatever, man. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of like dating in all the decades.
Like
at once.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it's there. I will say this coronavirus has definitely shown me how like the intimacy of different forms of communication. Like, it's like I'll post something on Facebook, and then maybe a friend will message me on Facebook about it, but then we'll switch over to text message, and then maybe we'll go to Instagram. Like, you never know. Like,
it's almost I'm kind of playing a tennis match with my friends and my family right now because I'm like, where's my fucking phone? Fuck. And I'm like, fuck, how do I use this computer again? Like, this is from like college. Like we used to do like, we used to be like, hey, like, yeah, like this looks, and I'm like going back to the computer again. I'm like, the computer, yes, it's like more hands-free, like, and I can type faster. I'm a really good typer. Like I'm literally writing a novel over here. Stay tuned, people. Like I'm literally just like writing again. And
I too have started my novel again. So, yeah.
I found an editor that's like, dude, I like your stuff. And I'm like, thanks. I know. Thank you. Like, thanks. I know. I think it's good. And then they're like, yeah, we need to figure out like what the angle is here. And I'm like, I know. I just wanted someone to bounce an idea off with. Like, thanks so much. And my friend from college, bless her heart, is like, I have an editor for you. Because she already wrote a book and it's on Amazon right now. Hashtag Alyssa Austin. And I'm like, look at this girl. We're the same. Why can't I do that? Of course I can do that. And now I'm doing it. I'm gonna do it.
Okay, so we probably have about 10 more minutes and I want to get some Jubilee stories in.
Oh yeah. Okay. What do you guys want to know about Jubilee? Like,
well, I mean, just like what it was like, all the lavishness. Like, I know Julia sent some pictures, popped up a picture, but like, tell us the fun stories of it or the costumes that you.
I have a fun picture. Oh, I'm not wearing pants though. 1 second.
I will say for those who are 36 minutes deep on this podcast in terms of video, they're gonna love the fact that you just said you weren't wearing pants.
Just like I'm by myself, so like they're matching.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
So this is backstage at Jubilee.
Okay. And which one are you? I can't see a face.
Shoot. Yeah. I'm this one.
Okay. Cool.
So like, and this is obviously, these are that celebrity couple. Dancing with the Stars. This is Kim something from Australia. And this is her husband that they met in Dancing with the Stars.
Okay.
And like, this is just like a mixture of the nudes. Like these were the nude girls. Here are the 3 white ones.
Mm-hmm.
And they called us the Bluebells.
Oh, nice.
Which are the covered dancers. So we always covered.
Uh-huh.
And then the nudes, we just called them the nudes. Mm-hmm. And you were either a tall one or a short one.
For the nudes or for just overall?
For both. Okay, so yeah. There was classifications of the type of showgirl you were. And even when you auditioned, you had to mark down, do you want to be a showgirl or a dancer? Because you're like, well, I thought I was here to be a showgirl. Like I think the first time I went, I just like checked showgirl because I'm like, yeah, like that's why I'm here.
Is there a pay differentiation between being tall? No. So
there's tall nudes, short nudes, tall bluebells, short bluebells. I was a tall bluebell.
But you guys all got the flat rate, like a favored nations kind of deal, primarily, and for the first contract.
Yeah. Well, I was actually a tall bluebell the whole time. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to eventually be a swing, so I could literally be a nude and a bluebell.
So so you were always a bluebell. So you were always clothed.
In the sense of yes. My nipples were always covered. Let's just say the nips were covered.
The nips, right. The classification between like top.
The rest of the costumes were exactly the same. Sometimes the nudes even wore bras that just like outlined in rhinestones.
So like the bluebells might be wearing like pasties, but not.
No, we didn't. We never wore pasties. We always had like a very secure like bra, and the bras were made of Swarovski crystals, so they shined literally like diamonds,
right?
And so just wire. It was like putting on like a cage for your like nips. You're like, all right, guys, like here we go, like, and like bang.
You get chafing after a while. Was it something where like? I will tell you, as someone who's gone on tour with like Pinups on Tour and with WTT, like if you wear pasties day after day, it like really starts to fuck with your nipples after a while, where it's like,
you need to let the nips
breathe.
You need to free those nips because you don't want to get them inverted eventually. Like they gotta like become erect so that they become erect.
Yeah.
Sometimes. You know, just like I don't wear bras, you guys. You guys, come on. If you ever see me and I'm wearing a bra, there's a very, 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 very good reason behind the story of why I'm wearing that bra. But like right now, do I have a bra on? Hell no. I'm in my house by myself. Why do I need protection? Like from who? No.
True. Okay.
Free the nips. Like I couldn't wait to be a nude one day. That's why when it closed, I was like.
And how long were you at Jubilee?
A year and a half, a blissful year and a half.
And did you guys do 2 shows a night?
Usually. We had one day off.
Okay.
This changes from contract to contract, cast to cast, but one day off. It usually was Friday, which great day off. I mean,
right. Yeah.
the best day off. Thursday night, we would have one early show. So it was like, oh, yes. And it felt so good to do just one show. Like, it was so much fun because you could just be like, just doing it like your best self, like, because you know you only have to do it once. So it's just like feels the body, like, it felt so good. It felt so good to do it once.
And were you, how do I say this? Okay, like in the world of burlesque, there's like 2 different types. There's many different types of ways you get into burlesque. One is more showgirly, where you just stand there and you look pretty. And like one of is a dancer. Then there are the people who are costumers that get into it. Were you a showgirl that just stood there and looked pretty and just smiled the pageant smile?
No, I would say I was like the Bluebells because we were covered. We were like the showgirls that danced more.
Okay.
Not to say that the nudes didn't dance, but like nobody wants to see like titties just like flying all over the place.
That makes a lot of sense.
They would like their greatest number was called Red Fans. And they would run, like literally run in it.
The Bluebell?
They would like, run like so gracefully, like birds. Like we're basically flamingos. Remember, showgirls are like a flamingo.
Okay.
And they're like making pictures like with their fans. And they're just like so naked, like so bare breast naked, but they have these like huge fans that like really, really, really hurt your fingers to hold, by the way. I've held fans before. And they're just like, like it was wild.
They do, by the way. They hurt a lot. Like people don't hurt, but like
nose.
Your hands are like,
it's our claws. We're like, because, and not everyone holds them the same. Like you have to make it work for like your hand to like hold this band to make this shape. Like people don't understand how hard it is. That's why like entertaining is so funny because they think, well, we make it look so easy. And if it ever looks hard, that's like a glitch in the matrix because like sometimes we actually did eat shit on stage. Like we would like trip over shit. Like I've fallen.
Tell a falling story.
Oh yes. Here's a good one. Okay. So I had feathers, foxtail, I called it, but like a foxtail feather on my cup.
Like hanging off your arm, right?
Yes. Just feathers.
Going like this.
Hat like this that went woo woo. Okay.
Okay.
Big old hat, 10-pounder. I look like Big Bird, basically. I would show you a photo, but I don't have one like right on hand. But anyway, Big Bird. Imagine just Big Bird that's already 5'10", wearing a Big Bird hat. Okay.
And how tall's the hat? Is the hat like 3 feet?
Oh my God. It's like if I'm gonna get down, it's like this.
Okay. Yeah.
Like really tall.
Yeah.
And curved forward. So it's a little top heavy. But we're dancing. Like we're dancing. And I'm like, oh my God. And then
because I never saw Jubilee. Is it like very flowy kind of music? Is it like classical?
This was called it's all different. And we would switch it sometimes. This was called the disco number. Disco.
Okay.
It's like a disco song. Okay. Very 70s, like all this stuff. I'm right up front. Like right up front. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
my cuff falls. Well, I didn't know whose it was. I just felt lots of I felt a fox basically at my feet.
Right.
And I was like, fuck, man. But in my head, I'm still dancing, right? But I'm just like, fuck. There's something down there. I'm like, okay. Then you have to decide, okay, do I pick it up? You're like, I don't know. I got this big old Big Bird hat on. This is what's going through my head. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But I was newer. This has never happened to me before.
Did they coach you on what to do in that situation?
They usually they don't want you to fall, obviously. So they're just let one of the boys get it later. That's usually the rule of thumb for the showgirls. Fuck, my big old bird just fell off on stage. What do I do? But I'm wearing a crown on my head. It's if you're wearing a crown on your head, you can't be expected to pick that shit up.
Right. You can't be expected to do the bunny dip.
I tried, girl. That's what I tried to do, man. I tried to bunny scoop that shit up and I ate shit. I fucking felt whoa, 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 whoa. And but I was behind all the nudes.
Yeah.
No one actually saw it except my own peeps following the Big Bird.
Yeah.
And they're like, fuck, Megan.
Everybody's looking at the
Yeah, they're like, you just ate shit. Are you okay? I'm like, fuck, I don't know. Did anyone see that? It's actually the best when you fall on stage because time literally feels like this. You're like, no. I love a good fall, man. And especially Jubilee falls are the best. People would eat shit a lot actually backstage more because we're rushing down and upstairs.
Yeah.
The whole show is just Stairmaster, dance, Stairmaster, change. Do-do, 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 do-do. So you're hustling. They're like, girls. This is Diane. This is my impression of her. She's like, girls, we need to walk when we go down the stairs. And you're like, Diane, I have a 1-second costume change. She's like, but we need to walk down the stairs. Hold the railing, girls.
So
we are queens. We do not run down the stairs like maniacs.
So when Julie and I first started with Working the Tease, we interviewed burlesque dancers, and we interviewed Vic Carroll. And Vic Carroll's a classic showgirl producer of
I love burlesque so much. I've actually been wanting to do it recently.
Yeah.
So
you should. But
maybe I will.
He had a review in the 70s, and he said if you ever saw his girls sweat, they were doing it wrong. Because they were supposed to seem just otherworldly women.
Otherworldly. That was the challenge of Jubilee.
Yes.
And that's why Diane, God, I love her advice. I love this woman. And she made me feel so uncomfortable. Every time I talked to this woman, I was just so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's why she was the director. She's just like, Megan. One time she would come on the announcements God, okay, backstage. Megan, can I see you in my office, please? And I'll be like, fuck. You're in it's the principal's office. You're like, fuck,
yeah.
You have to say to me, I get in there and she's like, Megan. You're like, oh my God. You're I'm in such trouble. I'm like, I don't know what I'm in trouble for, but what's wrong?
Yeah.
Megan, I see your tan lines on your ass. And I was like, yeah, I just got back from Bermuda with my fiance. I'm so sorry. And she's like, Megan, you've got to cover that up. And I'd be like, I've been trying to. I'm really trying to. I bought some makeup, and literally anyone that was in my dressing room will laugh at this, because the last about a long time, the whole end of my contract, I was constantly putting makeup on my ass because I had to get rid of the line.
Yeah. Because
we all wore thongs. That was the thing. Didn't matter what dancer, what part you were, your ass was out.
Right.
And about. So you can't have tan lines. That's why all the showgirls in Las Vegas, we want a tan topless.
Yes.
Because nobody wants to look at a girl that's naked on stage and see her bikini while she's naked. You know what I mean?
You're not otherworldly then.
No, it's oh, she does tan outside nude. Well, try to catch me, but I know. We'll just build a casino, call it Maria, and they can all just tan here topless. Done it.
Well, Megan, you have been an amazing guest. I have loved every moment of this, hearing your stories, seeing you.
This has been better than sex.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, we're going to sign off so I can talk to Julie about all these fun pieces.
Yeah, yay. Thank you, Megan. It was so nice.
Cool. Thanks
Great,
for
loved
having me. Thank you.
Yeah, it was
Bye.
lovely having you as a guest. And I love all of your stories.
I've got
Bye.
many more. Till next time.
Awesome.
Bye.
Hi.
That was so interesting learning about the life of the Las Vegas showgirl.
I know, and the cruise ship girl too. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I had heard stories of Jubilee, but I've never even I never saw it before it closed. Did you see it?
No, Jubilee closed, I think, before we got to Vegas, like right before we got
to Vegas.
Yeah. So I haven't seen it. I know a lot of girls that obviously were in it.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't seen it. It's one of the things I think people kind of miss about Vegas is the showgirls. When Vegas is active, you can get your picture taken with many kind of
it's a
showgirls on the strip.
Classic corporate kind of thing to do, to hire out a showgirl.
Exactly. Like, it's one of the more popular things that people do for corporate events. If you're throwing an event here in Vegas and you want to feel your guests to really have that Vegas experience, you hire a show so they can take pictures with them. Of course, generally speaking, corporate events, they want the bras on, but it's not my call.
So many details I never knew. And why are they called Bluebells? That's the question.
It's all fast. I mean, they're all stunning, beautiful, incredible dancers. I would love to see
women. Like, they're all so tall.
Yeah, I mean, and especially me, I'm like a foot shorter than a lot of these people.
I don't think that the video gives merit because Megan's legs are like ridiculously long, but she's sitting down, so you can't see it.
Megan's legs come up to my shoulders. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so it was so nice to kind of get the inside stories and hear.
So much fun.
One of the things that Megan talked about, which kind of like segues us into our first story. Let me put my glasses on here. So people have been dealing with relationships in quarantine, right?
Yes.
Everyone's kind of trying to figure out how to deal with their partners. And the BBC actually released some different tips from dating and relationship experts on the best way to manage that time with your partner and probably keep yourself from going a little crazy at the same time.
I have to say, I thought this one was the most adorable of all of them that we're talking about. Just because it had like all the different stories. Like, it had the couple that had broken up, but because they liked each other, they were going to live together because I know a couple people who are living alone, and it's very hard,
Yeah, I feel very blessed to not, although I don't have like a romantic partner, I have a roommate here that's kind of become my like quarantine buddy.
Right.
Do things every day together. We've like developed this routine together. I don't think I could handle quarantine if I literally had no human contact.
I mean, I'll tell you, I spent a lot of time alone because my dad is deemed an essential worker. He's a planned examiner, but building is considered an essential during this time frame. So he's going to work every day, and it's like I get him for like the 2 hours every day at the end. And I gotta make that last. And social media becomes your form of dialogue after a while.
Yeah, and I get that. But for people that are stuck with their partners, they're kind of having different challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah, being stuck with the person you love 24/7 is probably not what you signed up for at the beginning of your relationship. And so this BBC article gives some really great just practical tips on how to take care of yourself and your partner in quarantine.
Yeah.
One of the tips is give yourself time and physical space.
Yeah.
So make sure you have a time of day where you check your emails or you play your PlayStation or you do your activity away from your partner. And if your living accommodations allow, ideally in another room.
Yes. Yeah, it's you need that you need that privacy to be another version of yourself, so that like when you go and hang out with your partner, you have something to talk about.
Exactly. Other tips include the romance doesn't have to completely disappear. They're saying just because you're stuck at home, there are things you can do. Candlelight hasn't gone away. Making dinner hasn't gone away. Dressing up for your partner, like we talked about in last week.
Yes, yes.
That stuff hasn't gone away. So you still can find ways to make it fun. And, you know, that's kind of, it's a new challenge, you know, to figure out how to impress your mate when you're stuck in the house.
Right. Absolutely. To all of that.
The third is to be honest about your feelings during this and to communicate. I think one thing is a lot of us like to appear perfect or don't want to cause fights, so we bottle things in. Mm-hmm. The experts say that that's probably not the best idea. Communicating your feelings honestly, because the truth is your partner is probably going through similar things.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one is getting creative. Like we said earlier, there are a lot of things that are delivering. You can always do flowers, meals, gifts. If you're not with your partner, you can even send those things to them if for some reason you have to be quarantined away from each other. And then the third is lockdown's giving a lot of people time to kind of reprioritize their lives. What is important in their relationships, what they want out of their partner, and all that other good stuff. So that's the BBC article. But I think that, yeah, being in a relationship right now requires a whole new level of communication.
Absolutely. I think you have to be the version of you that is, I think you have to be the clearest version of yourself, which means you just have to be 100% honest with like, this is okay, or this isn't, or I want this, or I don't want that, you know? And I think the more honest your communication with your partner, you're going to get, like I'm looking for the word, not acceptable, but like a satisfied relationship for both parties involved.
Exactly. And I think there's so much we can do to hide ourselves when we're busy, right?
Yeah.
When you only spend 2 to 4 hours a day with your partner after work, when you get home at the end of the day, it's a lot more charming to kind of mind your tongue, not say things, not let that side of yourself. So I think the other thing is to have a little bit of grace for each other. If you are living with somebody, to put yourself in their shoes. And, you know, it's there. This whole coronavirus thing has created so many new situations for all of us. And I think people in relationships are just trying to navigate it, as well as those of us who are single.
Yeah, I agree 100% with all of that.
Another thing that I've noticed through the coronavirus, which kind of leads us into our next story, is you and I have a lot of friends on the internet who are dancers, burlesquers, strippers.
All of it. Sexy
workers.
Very sexy.
Have you noticed an increase in OnlyFans?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so do you know what OnlyFans is?
I do. Do you?
I do. Do you want to kind of explain it?
Well, I have not been on OnlyFans, so
yeah.
And actually I wanted to bring this up last week, so I'm glad we're talking about it, because OnlyFans, as I understand it, is kind of like a cam-based system that's all of the intellectual property is owned by the people who produce it, and it goes anywhere from burlesquing to more cam girl kind of masturbating things. That's the spectrum.
I think it's full on porn. I think you're allowed to do full on porn, but don't.
But some of the people that I've seen post about it on my social media, I don't know if they would be full on porn people, or maybe they would.
No, it's so it's a range of people. From what I can see is it's a way for you. It's basically a Patreon that allows nudity.
Yes, that would be a great way to explain it.
Yeah. Patreon is a artist support service where you can sign up for a monthly contribution to an artist. They create content for their designated supporters, but it discriminates against people in the sexy business. You're not allowed to do anything of the adult nature.
Right.
So the reason OnlyFans is kind of getting the uptick right now is because they allow nudity. So most of the people I know who are doing it are selling uncensored photographs, essentially, to their supporters. Maybe some sexy burlesque videos, whatever. But it's not. Most people I know, it's not porn.
It's yeah, they're not doing penetration, they're not doing masturbation. It's more sexy.
Correct. So that's kind of the theme about it.
Right.
But a lot of people, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is this article from Wired.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about how sites like OnlyFans are making a huge dent in the big porn industry right now.
Yes. Very big dent.
So along with traditional, productions are shut down.
Right.
Whether you're in Hollywood or in the porn industry, whatever, people aren't doing traditional productions right now.
Right.
So these sites not only are allowing content creators to be in charge of their own content, creating content at home, it's also a way for supporters, their fans,
right,
to engage with them in an environment where it's hard to engage with other humans. So it's kind of serving twofold. And it's really, yes. Studios are going to have a big comeback after this, or they're going to have to if they're alive.
Well, I think that the point of the article is that, and I could be wrong on the numbers, but this is kind of the gist on what the numbers of porn is. That like you're going to make somewhere around $1,000 to like $5,000 to $10,000 to do a gig for a day where you're sleeping with somebody, but it's being produced high end, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like I'm sure there are people that make more or less, but that's kind of the general.
That's the range, yeah.
Right, like it's like $750 to $1,000, I think, is your base, and then it goes up from there. But you're getting paid for that day, whereas like OnlyFans is you own your own content, and if you're a good marketer, you could make maybe $5,000 a month, or $7,000 a month, or $10,000 a month, depending on what it is that you're willing to do and how you produce it, and if you're willing to be inventive and creative, and you're that kind of a personality.
Correct. And the thing about it is, at the end of the day, you're creating content you own.
Exactly.
I think especially as a sex worker is a really empowering thing, because it's such a personal business. To give that to someone else feels a little...
And you get to keep 80% of what's being made in revenue, which is a lot different than maybe something you're going to pay for as a gig, and then they make a ton of money and you're just a personality.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an option out there for people in any spectrum of the sexy business.
Right.
If it's something you're interested in, look into it. It's not for me. I'm not so much like a picture taker, seller kind of person.
Right.
That super appealed to me, but I do understand the value of it. And I think it's really awesome that it's putting the power back in the performer's hands, which is something that is a side effect of this virus that might be positive at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I read another article last week and I didn't 100% understand it. So maybe you know a little bit about this, but also something called Snapchat Pro is another way to make a lot of money. I'm not on Snap a lot, so
I don't really use Snap. I have an account, but I don't use it fully. But yeah, so the thing about Snap Pro is essentially people can tip you, pay you, give you money.
Right.
Snapchats notoriously are quick, fleeting, go away, non-recordable, all this stuff that if you're a porn performer, you don't want people to be able to recreate your work, right? So Snapchat is a great channel for people that want to kind of segue into that sexier side. There are, as we mentioned in last week's episodes, some like legitimate tax. These people aren't being supported by the government with the stimulus package. So they're having to get very creative on how to get money nowadays.
Yeah.
But I think their options are out there. You just have to be really careful what platform you're on, because there's other platforms where if you try it, you'll get banned instantaneously.
Yes.
Twitter's notoriously pretty generous to sex workers.
Oh, very generous.
But not Instagram, not Facebook.
No.
Yeah. Not Patreon, as we were talking about earlier, which is another, if you're an artist who creates sexy content, Patreon's probably not the platform for you.
Right.
Probably run into some resistance there and maybe even be deactivated off the site, which would be super disappointing if you built up a fan base and then.
But like, good on the internet that there are all these platforms we can like test and, you know, I mean, it's very interesting being a couple months in on this coronavirus and quarantine, because we've kind of all split into this virtual world where, like, you know, we were both members of the Dollface Jam, and they're now, like, Triptease is doing a quarantine Triptease every Wednesday.
They do a virtual happy hour every Wednesday. Yeah. I saw that too. I'm so impressed, honestly, with how the creative world has taken this in stride.
Yeah.
I have seen very few complaining videos on the internet.
I agree. I look at my newsfeed and I'm very happy with the algorithm that, like, of my friends.
Maybe that's just the people we choose.
Right. But whatever it is, like, it is like you're seeing the best version of everybody.
I'm just so impressed. I'm impressed about what it's brought out of me as a human, my thoughts, creatively. I've been very blessed that our businesses received quite a few of the stimulus benefits as well, which has allowed us to keep artists employed. And it's just, you know, I know it's a weird time and we're all trying to figure out how to adjust, but I overall am pretty proud of how everybody's finding to create content.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I am a big fan of the statement that the only thing constant in life is change. And the more we just embrace the fact that this is what we're dealing with right now, and it might go back to normal or it might be something different, but, like, hey, it's changing. Like, you got to keep up. Like, things are moving very fast.
Right. Speaking of, you were featured in an article this week.
I was.
Right? Tell people about what it was. It was for Bustle, right?
For Bustle. You gotta love Haro. Because Haro, by the way, is help a reporter out, and it's like when people are looking for stuff, and somebody was looking to interview a professional cuddler, and I'm like, shit, I do this. So I wrote back some answers, and I got featured in an article on Bustle, which is the question posed by the reviewer, the writer of the article, which is Carolyn Stieber. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. I never talked to her in person. I only through email. Is what would happen to hugs post-pandemic, according to a professional cuddler. And she interviewed me. She also interviewed Gabrielle Revelock, who is the founder of a touch-based mindful movement practice called Restorative Contact, in regards to, like, what the world's going to be like after the coronavirus in terms of touching and hugging and all of these things that are so important to me, at least, and I think most human beings.
Yeah, this is a concern. We've actually had this conversation. I'm legitimately concerned about not being able to hug people. It's a huge part of my not only career, I have built a career of hugging people.
Yeah.
That's on tour.
Right.
But it's also, I know a person when I hug them.
Yes.
I mean, it's such an important part of my relationship with so many people. I want to touch you. I want to feel you. And it makes me sad to think we might live in a world where that's considered unsafe.
Right. Like, I really, in terms of interpersonal communication, when you, like, take an arm and, like, you touch the other person's arm, you know, where you're like, hey, it's all going to be okay. Like, like, it doesn't even have to be a hug, but, like, that's something I do all the time. I'm always touching people and being like, you know, we're good. So, like, the idea of taking that away to me is a very scary one. But truthfully, not a world that I even want to contemplate. Like, when I posted this article, I was like, I'm 100% sure that we're going to be in a society where we are going to touch again, because it's so human nature that I don't think we can take it away from each other.
It's interesting. So one of the things I've been binging this quarantine, much to the chagrin of my roommate, is historical dramas. From Viking ages to Medici. Like, there's seasons and seasons and seasons of these shows on Netflix, and I've been getting into them.
Have you seen the promos for The Great yet?
No.
On Hulu, and it's a comedic version of Catherine the Great.
Oh, well, I'll have to get into that.
Yeah, it looks very funny. So, but anyway.
One of the things that watching these historical things, temptation, we've come so far. So far as a human race.
Yes.
But the other thing is how much touch is a part of ritual. All of these series, you see kissing the ring, holding the hand, the hug, the kiss on the cheek. It's all about trust and loyalty, and it holds all this meaning. And to me, I feel the same way. I feel like when I hug somebody, I'm like letting them in.
Yes.
And so I love that you're optimistic and you think we're going to be back to hugging. I literally sent an email to a venue today that wants to have pinups on tour. And I kind of explained to them that I'm more than willing to give this a try, because they're in a state, honestly, that's been very minimally affected. They're in a very isolated area. They've had very few issues. We obviously would do CDC and social distancing and all the things. But we were talking, and I explained to them, I was like, just so you know, the show that you had 2 years ago, it's gonna be a little different.
Right.
Like, I honestly, if my performers are going state to state to state, I can't have them touch a single one of your audience members.
Right.
If they're all contaminating each other, cool. Not cool, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But like, there's certain legal things we're both going to have to think about if we decide we want to have an event.
Yes.
So I've actually been thinking about how to do hugs without hugging. So I've been like, do I give people a teddy bear? But then the teddy bear would have to be disinfected between people. So that doesn't work. Do I get 50 teddy bears and just hand one out to everybody and say, please hug the teddy bear? And back at the end of the show and we'll spray it with Lysol? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the, so overall, I think that the thing is that it's surviving in the world we are in until they figure out the vaccine, right? So that's the question, is like, what do you do for this like year or two that they're figuring out the vaccine? Because like it's let's be serious, like every news agency, it says it's probably a year away. So it's like, how do you interact with people during that time period? And it's like, is it air kisses? Is it bear hugs like this, where, you know, you're not touching, but you're like pretending you're touching, which is not the same thing.
It's not. And honestly, I know this is not popular, but like if like you were here now, I'd probably hug. I just don't know how long I cannot hug the people I love to hug.
Yes.
I don't know if I could see my family
and not hug them.
Right. I would be very, very tough for me.
Yeah. I mean,
especially after this long of not seeing them.
Like, one of the things that I was asked during the interview for the Bustle article was, what is your substitute? And like, you know, I was like, oh, you can do this or that, like, but they're all talky. And then I realized, because we emailed a couple times, the second time I emailed her, I was like, actually, more than anything else, I think the thing that has helped me is having a pet.
Yes.
Because like, you know, I'm at my dad's house with 2 cats, and those cats have become like the story of my life. Like, I'll take pictures and I post them on Instagram, and it's like they both have their personalities, and they're like my snuggle buddies at night. Like, one of them loves to he gets really excited He climbs onto your chest when you're going to sleep, and he gets so happy that he drools all over you. And then it's like the story of the cat that drools over you because he's so excited to like purr at you. But like this is, you know, it's not a boyfriend, but at least it's something. At least you are cuddling something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You know, we're all adjusting the best we can. I guess I think we'll get creative about how to connect with each other until, like you said, it feels safe to do so.
Right.
And then honestly, I think some of us will be taking risks to hug people. And for me, that risk might be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean,
but we were taking that risk before coronavirus.
We were. And like the longer it goes on, the more we hit herd numbers.
Yeah.
You know? And whether or not you think herd numbers are 30% or 50%, you're going to hit a point where it's the power of touch is going to be more important than the risk of potentially getting sick.
Yeah. Real quick, before we close out today's show, I want to say last week was supposed to be my brother and his partner's birthday.
Aww.
It's one of our biggest supporters of the podcast. So we just want to say happy almost wedding, Joel.
Are they still doing their wedding?
They're doing a wedding later this year, and then they're going to do a big blowout next year. Joel did the white big wedding of his dreams.
Yes, I know. He's been planning
anything else.
For a while.
Yes. So unfortunately, this virus has rained on that a lot. You know, I think for me, what makes me most sad is I had a couple opportunities to see my family before this pandemic started.
Yeah.
And because I knew I was going to see everybody
at the wedding,
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm kicking myself now because now who knows? My parents, they're of an older group. A lot of them have had cancers or heart problems, or, you know, as we get older, our parents have had these issues. And so I don't know when I get to see them now. I don't. Yeah. And so I'm kind of bummed about that. So I guess future reference, Julia will not make that mistake.
Well, you'll put your family first.
Yes.
Yes. But I mean, I think that overall, it's like, first of all, none of us knew what was coming. You know, like if I had told you in, I don't know, October of last year that like this would be this year, you would be like, what?
Exactly. None of us would have believed it. So
right. We were like, wait a minute, what?
And like I said, I'm very blessed to be part of a community of people that I feel like is taking it incredibly well. Yeah. Stride, despite the fact that we all have lost so many of the things that made us who we are.
Yeah.
I defined myself by doing shows and doing events and doing work. It was how I valued myself, and now that doesn't exist. And it's been a very interesting adjustment.
I will second Megan's comment on how she sometimes feels like she's 7 years old again, because I very much feel like that a lot of my day, where it's like, even when I was like putting on makeup for this, I was like, oh, this is dress up time. I'm going to wear a wig and cat ears and like put on jewelry. Because like it's the time where I get to be pretty, because it's not, I have to be pretty all the rest. I
put makeup on for you guys.
Nice. I'm wearing my heels again. Like, you know,
Yay!
I mean, it's like I'm playing dress up versus it being like my job, because I can't have it be my job. But it's almost like a more pure version of it. It's kind of like dressing up at Burning Man, where you're like, I'm just dressing up because I want to be an angel with like crazy wings and this and that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm not a burner. What's going on with Burning Man this year?
No, it's, oh my God, you should. I'm a member of multiple Burning Man Facebook groups, and like people are like, overall, it's canceled. They're going to try and do a virtual part of it. People have not gotten their ticket refunds, and some people are very mad about it. But like I'm assuming they are going to refund them at some point. It's just, I'm sure there's so much red tape when it comes to it.
It's one thing about ticket refunds I'll say. So we are I'm not gonna say the name of the company because I actually am not mad at the company right now. I feel like they're doing the best they can. So I'm just not gonna say the name. But our ticket provider is being sued and investigated right now for not paying back producers quick enough for what they feel during this pandemic.
Right.
I cannot imagine running a ticketing business right now.
Yes, like Golden Voice. I know that Golden Voice was pushing it off to give refunds, and now they're going to give refunds. But like, you know, if they had, I mean, I don't know a lot about like the music, like Coachella's, but I'm assuming there's some kind of deposit that's made for the artists. So it's like, I can see why it's like a big spider web of like
it's a big messy mess.
Yeah.
And my whole thing, I kind of gave, I honestly didn't think about it. I knew we hadn't received the checks from our events, even in February, from this ticketing company.
Right.
But I honestly thought they were probably just like mixed up in it.
Right.
Working through it.
Right.
I just kind of was like, look, we all took in money and lost money, and it's been a mess. So I can't even imagine being a ticketing provider. But yeah, our ticketing provider is being sued right now because they haven't paid out event companies such as ourselves. Technically, we're part of the lawsuit, and I have no intention of being part of the lawsuit. So, like, part of me, I'm honestly, I've lost. I mean, we've lost easy 40K.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Because of all this.
Just between all this stuff.
But at the same time, we've received a lot of assistance, and a lot of our vendors have been super nice.
Yeah.
I've had so many people that have paid us out on contracts that they've canceled because, like, they're just
good people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like, I'm not going to go after the company that's struggling right now.
Right. Which you're hoping 6 months to a year down the line, is still going to be around so you can work with them because you enjoyed their infrastructure for many years before this happened.
For 7 years. Never had an issue.
Right.
Had an issue. So that's...
Yeah. And then a global pandemic happens and it's like, well...
If there's not money in the account, what do you want them to do?
Right.
And I guess, so I think that a lot of us have to be very generous about our refunds we're asking for right now, especially to businesses that have been good to us in the past.
It reminds me a little bit of the scene from It's a Wonderful Life when they have the run on the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where it's like, you know, like they all they have is their like honeymoon money, and then they're like, will you just take this much? Do you need all of your money, or do you just need enough to survive for today? Because we'd love to stay in business if you're game to like be a big enough person to allow us to stay in business.
Yeah, and I think that's something that as Americans we all should really take to heart right now, is that like if businesses are openly communicating with you, don't be a dick.
Right.
Now, if you can, like, as a producer, yes, it's disappointing not to have those checks, but honestly, like, I've been subsidized. I've been helped. Our supporters have stepped up to the plate. Like, there's so many reasons I have for saying, look, I can give people grace because people have given
you
grace.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But we're going to come back next week and have another episode of Better Than Sex.
We are.
We don't know what we're going to do. Are we going to have another guest, Kat?
We might. I can try and scrounge us up another guest.
Yeah, find us a sexy guest.
Yes. I have lots of I have a whole list of sexy guests I can ask. So
but yeah, we had a blast talking with you guys this week. If you want to find us online at WTT Burley, our new website up and running, WTT Burlesque.
Sweet.
Yeah, you can find the podcast on there. You can always find our podcast in iTunes. If you do, please rank us, give us 5 stars, give us a little review. All that stuff matters for the
algorithms.
Yeah. Because we're trying to figure out what's better than sex.
Exactly. And once again, thank you to Megan Caldwell,
Yes.
coming in and telling us all about the sexy world of showgirling. Very eye-opening for me because I was never a tall dancer. So
You know what? Megan got to live a life that neither one of us were born into.
just based on physicality, alone.
Based on the height. And the thing is, she's such a joy. She's such a spirit. We've had the privilege of working with her on quite a few kind of gigs and projects over the years.
Yes.
And I will say that she's the epitome of a professional. And I'm so glad we got to talk to her today and get to know her a little better.
Yeah.
Super fun. Find her online. Hire her if you need a dancer.
She's a great showgirl.
Yeah, great showgirl. But I think that's it for this week's episode of Better Than Sex. I'm Julie Reed Nichols.
And I'm Kitty Cat DeMille.
And we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.